Bahay Kubo, kahit munti, ang halaman doon ay sari-sari.
Every Filipino kid must have grown up hearing that famous folk song. Or maybe some of us were even lucky enough to be able to play or live in Bahay Kubos ourselves. Everyone knows what a Bahay Kubo is, but not enough of us know exactly what makes it so important in Filipino culture. For today's video, join us as we learn all about the most iconic example of Filipino architecture. Let's start from the outside. The Bahay Kubo, made from native and environmentally friendly materials such as nipa and bamboo, is a form of indigenous architecture that has its origins in pre-colonial Philippines and still survives to this day. While we can all picture what a Bahay Kubo looks like, it actually has a lot of regional varieties depending on which part of the Philippines it was built. For example, native Ivatan houses are made of thick limestone with roofs composed of thick layers of cogon grass. This kind of Ivatan house, called mayutab, is generally more fortified to protect them from harsh environmental conditions, especially since Batanes is one of the favorite destinations of tropical storms. Aside from environmental factors, indigenous architecture also serves social functions. For example, traditional houses among the Bontoc play a big role in facilitating the upbringing of the community's teenagers. Boys and girls are segregated in traditional dormitories called ato and olog. This is where they come of age and eventually meet their partners. Despite the regional differences, most Bahay Kubos are built with a purpose of protecting their residents from the unpredictable Philippine climate. Bahay Kubos were also built to be temporary. The accessibility of natural materials made them easy to rebuild when ravaged by storms or earthquakes. Most Bahay Kubos are also cube-shaped. This is because they are built and disassembled using a modular process. Walls are pre-built before getting attached to wooden posts that also serve as corners of the house. The roof is then placed to top it all off. The relative lightness of the materials making up the Bahay Kubo also made it easier to transport from town to town. Just think of iconic Filipino paintings depicting the concept of bayanihan. Now take your gaze to the roof of the Bahay Kubo. While it seems ordinary, it was actually built with a lot of purpose and intention. The tall and steep roof creates space inside for the warm air to rise so that the people inside could easily cool off. The steepness of the eaves also allows for rainwater to flow down easily during monsoon seasons. This simple yet clever roof design was spotlighted during the infamous Mt Pinatubo eruption in 1991. Many stone or wooden houses collapsed from the weight of the ash, yet most Bahay Kubos in the area survived because ash simply flowed down the sides of the roof. If you're impressed by the roof, then wait until you learn about the bottom portion of the Bahay Kubo, also known as the silong. It's common to see a Bahay Kubo raised up on hardwood stilts, making it accessible only via ladder. This was done to protect the house from floods and prevent pests like rats and snakes from entering the living area. Sometimes, the silong area is also used as storage or even to raise farm animals. All those amazing features, and we're still only focusing on the outside of the Bahay Kubo. Why don't you step inside and take a seat, and we'll tell you more about the genius architecture of this native Filipino house. The inside is commonly known as the silid, or living space. It's often designed to let in as much natural light and fresh air as possible, two important things when living in a tropical country. Some Bahay Kubo even have bamboo slat floors to allow cool air to flow into the living area from below. Walls are usually made with light materials like wood, bamboo rods, or bamboo mats. These materials were especially designed to let coolness flow even during hotter seasons. At the same time, these materials are also capable of sealing in warmth during the cold, wet seasons. Bahay Kubos also commonly have huge windows, of course with the purpose of letting in natural light and cool air. They're usually held open by wooden or bamboo rods. Some Bahay Kubos also have sliding windows made from just plain wood or beautiful capiz shell frames, which allow some light to enter the silid even when the windows are closed. Inside and out, the Bahay Kubo is a shining example of true indigenous genius. But it's not just the architecture of the Bahay Kubo that we should take note of. In fact, it also stands as a symbol and reflection of important Filipino values. We've already mentioned how bayanihan and the Bahay Kubo are pretty much intertwined. The concept of bayanihan, or a community helping each other out, can be traced back to the local tradition of townsfolk helping carry the Bahay Kubo of a family moving to another area. The Bahay Kubo is also a good reflection of Filipinos' resourcefulness, creativity, and relationship with the natural environment. Made from locally sourced materials, the Bahay Kubo is sustainable while still being durable enough to live in. The way Filipinos specifically chose materials that would make living as comfortable as possible in a tropical country is also a testament to our craftiness. It's no wonder then that many Bahay Kubos can still be found throughout the Philippine archipelago today, but they have not remained static. Aspects of the Bahay Kubo have definitely been affected by our history. During the Spanish colonization, even the Spanish builders acknowledged just how well-suited Bahay Kubos were to the Philippine environment. They quickly scrapped their plans to build European-style houses and instead adapted some characteristics of the Bahay Kubo and incorporated it with Spanish architectural styles to build their houses. Thus, the Bahay na Bato was born. But despite being impacted by our colonial past, it is a true testament to the Bahay Kubo's ingenuity that it still survives to this day. While usually seen as a thing of the past, the Bahay Kubos are still being utilized, especially in farming or rural communities. Not just that, there have also been modern interpretations of the Bahay Kubo. Many Filipino architects, inspired by the Bahay Kubo's form and design, incorporate it onto their works. This is sometimes done for practical purposes, like copying the Bahay Kubo's built-in mechanisms for airflow. Meanwhile, some architects and designers also incorporate Bahay Kubo elements into their work simply for aesthetic and sentimental purposes. After all, who doesn't get a little bit nostalgic whenever they see a Bahay Kubo? There's a reason why the Bahay Kubo became one of our national symbols. It encompasses everything Filipino, from being made to perfectly cope with our climate, to reflecting the values we hold near and dear to our hearts. When was the last time you visited a Bahay Kubo? Tell us all about it in the comment section down below. Like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to keep learning with us.